Welcome to the Tug of Heart podcast on Strong Island Radio. This is the place where we dig deep into the heart to rise in love. So let's join good friends Lori and Marianne as they discuss understanding and living from the heart.
Hello, Lori here with Miss Mary Mo.
Hi there, Lori.
How you doing?
Great.
Today we're on episode 17. We are talking about open heart, or the naked truth in the heart. So last week we spoke about the well within the heart as a metaphor for the depths of the heart and the water kind of expressing the truth that resides in our heart. I saw a few posts about the well following it, and one that stood out that I had shared with you was actually a painting and a short story about it. So today we were going to just have a look at the naked truth, starting just with the work itself, the story, and going from there. Specifically how we can better ready the heart for it and how we use it to better live the truth that it means to be us, me, you, each of us individually, and to exist and live in accordance with the nature that we're made for, ultimately. So if you would like to share the story, if you have it with you, I don't have it.
I do.
Okay.
I do. And this story is inspired by a painting, Truth Coming Out of the Well, by Jean Leon Jerome from 1896. And the story goes like this. The lie said to the truth, "Let's take a bath together. The well water is very nice." The truth, suspicious, tested the water and found out it really was nice. So they got naked and bathed. But suddenly, the lie leapt out of the water and fled, wearing the clothes of the truth. The truth, furious, climbed out of the well to get her clothes back. But the world, upon seeing the naked truth, looked away with anger and contempt. Poor truth returned to the well and disappeared forever, hiding her shame. Since then, the lie runs around the world dressed as the truth, and society is very happy because the world has no desire to know the naked truth.
Wow. Tough read. Beautiful, like in terms of just storytelling, but tough to hear.
It is. And yet it resonates. There's a piece of it that is truth.
You really moved when you heard this.
Yes,
your
I
reaction
was when
strong
I read
to it, right?
And especially with our alignment with grief.
Right.
And the parts of the naked truth in the grieving process, in the dying process, and the moving through that isn't embraced or fully seen or even expressed fully, because it is difficult for the world to bear it. And this to me just rang very true. And there's so many layers to it. And I loved the process of us, like our willingness to kind of take this on and look a little bit deeper with it. And I have, in listening to some of your thoughts around it, it has just taken me to a whole new level of even understanding and looking more closely at this within the heart, within the individual, within society. So what's your take, Lori?
Well, I jotted a couple notes in the car
Great.
before I came in, just to keep me from rambling on, because this is so expansive. I mean, I think even today we'll focus more on the truth character, if you will, in the story than the lie. Maybe a little bit about the lie because it's just so much. And the truth, like, where do you even begin with the truth? It means different things to different people. That probably shouldn't, right? But here we are. So we start with where we are, which I'm okay with that also. The world looked away with anger and contempt at the naked truth. The truth hid in the well. I like that because that's kind of in line with what we had drawn last week, that there's this truth that is in the well of our heart. So I'm comfortable with that, thinking that the truth is just hanging out there and has a place. And I'd like to think most of us, for it to exist there, it's welcome there on some level. But back to the story, the truth comes out of the well, and the truth, like nudity, is stark. In thinking of the tale of truth in the well, losing its clothing to a lie, this is from my notes, I cannot help but reflect on the emperor, who also wore no clothes, yet reigned as those about him denied awareness of his nudity. In one case, the world rejects the nudity of the truth, but in the other, they embrace this idea that there exists some covering or adornment that simply is not there. I think it's interesting to consider that the immediate fool in the tale of the emperor is the emperor himself. The people all know this potentially horrifying truth about him, yet behave as if it does not exist. What good does this serve? Temporarily, it may keep subjects safe, at least the first to point it out, but as each stand before this bare ruler, are they not all guilty of contributing to what will ultimately be a shameful revelation to only one person in the picture, the man standing naked? So what's the difference when it comes to truth and what we accept and reject of it in our heart? And then through this acceptance or rejection, how we exist within the world. How does knowing, sharing, and admitting the truth change everything about the way we live and who we are? My notes continue on saying, I believe, I'll start with some beliefs, we all suffer on some level a sort of shared shame with the truth when we come to know it. We may see something for what it is, but we keep this truth in the well of our heart, not because it's wrong, but because a part of us recognizes that often the truth is brutal when expressed to others. For me, the truth divides before it unites. We have a certain shame in flashing this truth, verity, that will be stark to some who witness it. Not because the truth is naked or nudity is wrong. No one minds this so much as they mind the naked and very vulnerable fact that often when we're presented with a very pure truth, the discomfort, in fact, is our own. It is the contrast between the truth and us. The right that is in front of us and our own existence. Behavior, thought processes, whatever. It is the vulnerability we feel in the light of the truth that leaves us feeling exposed. Following that, there's this sort of reaction to the exposure we may experience in light of the truth. Some may simply deny it and instead accuse the truth of being the lie, and their previous standards or actions as rather being the truth. In this way, we can perpetuate the lie and call good bad and bad good. This means one of two things. Either we do not see things as they are, or we would have others not see them as they are for our gain or our pride. Either points to a form of violence against the nature of our being. It stagnates our growth and potentially that of others who we pass this along to. This is not the work of alignment, but rather an act of disalignment at worst. At best, it's simply a case of compromised sanity. Not seeing things for what they are. This is where I begin examining the truth and its role in everything we do in life. It matters for our sanity, for our well-being, and for our relationships mostly, because every relationship is built on the truth of who we are to one another and the greater picture this points to. So ultimately, we can only begin a new foundation and relationship with truth by first examining the state of our own heart. That's as far as my notes it took me sitting in the car. And that's where I would begin with it.
Well, it is a beautiful entryway that, your thoughts and the
More
articulation.
questions than answers, right?
But still very, very important kinds of questions. And one of the things that struck me was the idea of examining the truth, right? And the truth of our heart, the truth of grief in who we are to one another. What came to my mind, because I do really agree with you, Lori, I think truth is ultimately about who we are to one another, and it is the force of the deepest connection, and especially the naked truths when you're able to share that.
I want to say it one more time, not to cut you off, the force of who we are to one another.
Yes.
I find that tremendous, Marianne.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
And so what popped into my head as you were saying that was, okay, the lie and the truth sat in the waters of the heart together. Who are they to one another? That was the question that came to me. And only the waters of the heart can hold that kind of paradoxical relationship. And I really believe that, I don't know if this is completely true, but I think that the lie can be born of naked truth.
Yes.
Of naked truth that is rejected and
Absolutely.
shamed.
Absolutely.
Rather than embraced and worked with. So lie, it was once naked truth, and then it needed to put a lie over it, and it took the clothes of innocent truth, friendly truth, the kind of truth we're proud to express, the kind of truth that isn't a risk. So she had to cover, because I think it's a lot to bear to move through the world as a lie, right?
Yes.
And so she took this friendly garb of that truth and went off into the world, now layered. Now one layer more from her truth, her true naked truth. And the naked truth that remained, right? It went from the innocent truth to now the naked truth was wild, furious. Like women aren't allowed to be in that kind of naked truth. It's rare. There's not many places that can contain that. Except the well of the heart.
That's right.
The well of the heart was able to hold her in there. Otherwise, her other choice was to get out of the well and put on the clothes of the lie, right? Those were the clothes that remained. So I am honestly feeling an epiphany around that.
Of the flip side, that for the lie to run off with the clothes, some clothes remained and the truth chose not to wear them.
Yes. I feel so much more compassion for the lie right now.
I think all things, and you had said this, I had asked you this week, tell me something you think is true, really true, because I think what we really believe is true in life, that we can say with no reservation, are few. And so I'd asked you, and you had said that everything's moving. And I had told you, one of mine is that everything is moving towards good. And I also believe everything serves good, whether it's even in the form of better defining good by defining what good is not. And that's very necessary and appropriate for human beings. Sometimes we exhaust what something is not before we begin to identify what it is, the matter that it's really made of. First, we have to say, just even scientifically, Does it sink? Does it float? And we're checking boxes. It does not, does not. And so we're qualifying things by sometimes just checking what it is not. And that pushes it along into a tighter, more concise, and workable definition and appropriate understanding of the essence of a thing.
Yes.
And that's what we have to do with ourselves, and we're more complex. So it's a much larger process. There will be lies along the way.
And also, as human beings, right, the truth of the heart is an absolute truth as far as I've experienced it. It's just the truth of love in all its facets. But as human beings, our truths can change and evolve depending on the response and
yes.
the interconnection with it. And so the fury of the truth that was betrayed by the lie, the fury of her that she embodied could evolve and transform and change depending on how she's able to express it, how it could be received, if there could be a connection. If there could be one other woman out there, I certainly would have joined her if she screamed, "Has anybody been betrayed by a lie?" I was betrayed by a lie. It was the loss of my marriage, a big lie. And so I know you. I will cover you. That was the other thing you were talking about in your first reflection about the covering, right? This idea of when we are in naked truth, we need the love of a faithful companion to cover us.
That's right. And that's the difference between almost like there's nudity and there's adornment, which is clothing, which is more like, look at what I'm wearing, don't look at me, the vain emperor. And then there's just this genuine armor of our heart.
Yes.
And that's a protective covering that we build in maybe character, maybe integrity, maybe in strength of heart, in fortitude, I have to say at least, that allows us to be very naked and the strongest when we are naked, as it should be, in my opinion.
You know, Lori, you've been saying to me since we're in the heart, right? Music has
Yes,
come into my life.
Yes.
I can't get rid of it all of a sudden.
That's okay.
And so just now, the song came to my head, and it's a song that always moves me to tears. It's from the musical Rent. And there are these two characters, and one of the characters is dying from AIDS. And his partner sings this song, "I will cover you. I will be your shelter as you move towards this." And to me, that is that is it. That is what the heart wants us to do when we see another person standing in their naked truth. Something in them is about to die or is dying. If we see it, and even if nobody else sees it, even if they're wearing lies clothing that says I'm okay, we have to move towards covering
And
them.
it starts with, Marianne, I think, I see you.
I see you.
I saw
am here.
you.
I saw you.
I saw you. I know what you were doing. I've been there. You're not alone. Incidentally, that was one of the truths that's been the hardest for me to accept, and that's the two sides of it, is that I can be so alone in life. We're so alone. And then the flip side being, we're really not alone. And that's dependent upon one another and dependent on these relationships that are built on truth. Everything else aside, like in terms of, let's say, principles, the truth, moral truths, the principality of truth, and all of this, but we're talking about starting at the most basic, fundamental truth of being human, and that's that we do belong here together, and that we do have permission to get it right, get it wrong, and we still belong. because we get it. Oh my gosh, Marianne, how many things I get wrong every day if I was dismissed. And part of it too is like thinking about it this week. I mean, how many things I could be dismissed for that I just shut my mouth about or soften the edges of. And I have to consider more. This may be a lie because I keep the qualifiers in my head I was telling you, or the ambiguous language where we stay neutral. Very tempting, and it feels safe and it feels right because you're not shocking anybody, you're not being mean, but I can't even say that I'm going to walk out of here in truth's clothing or nudity, I should say. But to be aware of it is a step in the right direction, at least, I think.
And maybe there is, like, there's a wardrobe of truth. There's a variety. And so if I can't be in my naked truth, maybe I can show up in a truth that I can feel proud of. And it might be very small and mundane, right? So the naked truth may be I am brutally alone since I lost my child, since I lost my husband. Okay, that's the naked truth, but I can't show up in the world that way. So I wear the robe of a truth that I can be proud of, which is I am showing up and allowing myself to do the best I can today.
You know what? It's amazing that you're saying this because there was a time when people wore the clothes of mourning.
Oh.
You know, and because there wasn't this connotation that it carried with it. Instead, it carried a connotation of maybe reverence. And now it's like we have to kind of hide it, downplay it, to be approachable.
Yes.
Because and the irony in this is that by us doing that, we contribute to this perpetuation of hiding it. It's too much. It's too much for them. It's awkward. But if we all just paraded in our black or anything, a shirt with a print, I have lost somebody, or we were able to really talk about it, it would normalize it.
And yes, it would build a sense of resilience to be a good neighbor, to be a good fellow human being, and being able to see it and hold it because you could wear it and someone could look away because of their own discomfort, right?
No problem, exactly.
But you can also see it, and maybe all you need is, I see you and I'm going to be gentler with you. And it's a practice that, like, we do not know the stories that people carry. And you said it too in your original piece that you shared with us, is suffering abounds. Everyone carries a certain suffering. And maybe that is a truth that we need to move with more in the world when that person is being a little bit edgy, where you just might give them the benefit of the doubt. Because if we can carry what you said, which is so beautiful, that all things do move towards good, if the compass is in your heart, if it's coming from a place of loving waters that can hold these kind of paradoxes, you can be absolutely an idiot, and you can also be someone who is in need of so much love and tenderness right now. Like, could hold both.
Right. And we had said this, I think, last time, where we know everything we need to know of the human condition just by having been human ourselves, and how quickly we forget.
And we don't want to not be human.
No.
Like when you said, part of the truth of being human is we make a lot of mistakes, and we're going to try to cover it up because we're scared. We're going to get in trouble.
It's like, how on earth would we not? This is my first go at March 2nd or 3rd, whatever it is, at my age today. I've never done this before. I am brand new. Why would I be expected to have it right today? And tomorrow, whatever happens today makes me a different person tomorrow. Hopefully I've learned more, but the day will unfold in a completely new way. Who says I have to get it right to be accepted, to be loved, to be included? But I can tell you this, by being included, I'm more apt to get it right.
Yes, and having those trusting companions that walk with us on this journey, we go from feeling like we have to cover up to actually being covered, because when I think we're in a place of naked truth, deep exposure that can potentially be shameful, we can make choices that are not healthy for ourselves.
That's right.
And so we need someone else who is looking after us, with us, around us, because we're raw. It's just a kind
volatile.
of... Yes, volatile. She was furious coming out. I love her, Truth, when she's like naked. She's like, they couldn't take it because she was hateful, her contempt, her fury. Whoosh.
And the funny thing is, people had contempt for seeing her. And I'm of the mindset and heart set that what we see and don't like in others is what we hold in our own heart.
Because
only.
It's all layered.
Right.
Right.
So when I
Just
see
covered
somebody
up in
and
you.
I'm like just disgusted by something about them, that's something that is in me that I want to squash. So it's easier to project it. But it's always a good opportunity to look within, like, what makes me so uncomfortable that this person, and this is a total example. I actually happen to be one of the louder people, but if somebody's like, they're just so loud, what's wrong with them? What in you dislikes the volume of some people? Is it that you feel afraid to do that, to project yourself? Is it that you've been rejected when you have? It's really about what's going on in your heart.
And maybe we could take it a step further. What lie are you telling yourself about
Marianne,
who you are?
Have you ever? We've all done this. I'm going to drag everybody down with me. Where you think clothing style, certain type of food, something you just adore it. Somebody you don't care for as much does it, and all of a sudden you're adverse to all of it. Mm-hmm. I don't like this kind of laugh all of a sudden. The same laugh that was endearing before somebody has offended you and now they have it. Mm-hmm. And we make these really weird connections that don't hold up to truth. Or like you and I were speaking about, reasonableness. It's the way to go in life generally is to ask yourself, is this reasonable? Can I carry it out to its end, this thought, this plan, this project, and it remains reasonable and beneficial? Mm-hmm. If it doesn't, it doesn't hold up, which is what we were talking about right before we came in. If somebody comes up and they start speaking something that to you does not sound truth, let them finish. If possible, unless they're doing harm to somebody immediately. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, and you're or harm to your morality. Then okay, that nobody can step between that. But apart from that, let them go Socratical on them. Tell me more. Mm-hmm. And why do you think this? And mm-hmm. sooner or later, the truth of it will kind of toggle itself out just by them having to maintain that level of reasonableness the more they talk about it. A lot of people get shut down before they get a chance to do it. So you hear people saying the same snippet again and again because they were shut down right when they got to that.
They couldn't complete.
And so they're saying it and it becomes just nails on a chalkboard. It's so aggravating because we're like, they're so wrong. They're still saying it. They don't stop saying it. Maybe nobody's listened.
And that's the transformative power of this kind of heart listening, right? To truly listen. And then again, I think we always, look to bring it back to the internal process, because there is we carry such a universe within us. And if one of our truths is, I live my life with compassion, but then I am going to self-criticize myself or not be patient with myself or beat myself up for a mistake, how am I lying to myself about who I am? And so there needs to be this allowance to kind of bring back the parts of us that once did express naked truth and then had to go down to the bottom of the well and not be brought back up. It's kind of like the graveyard of our own soul, parts of us that we buried. Can we bring them up, and can we meet them with that kind of listening that comes with having a life of challenges and losses struggles? And it's one of the things I love about us being a little bit older women, is that we actually have arrived at the place of knowing that everything moves, and it moves towards goodness if you are held in a way that all can be told naturally.
And I do think there's, as older women or humans or anybody who's experienced more, put yourself out there and be the person that listens, because, I mean, for crying out loud, I count myself among the people that are not shocked very easy, because I've seen it all. Me and you sat with children that just bam, 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 right in the face. And we're like,
we love them. We still love you.
We both have been able to just be like, didn't shock me. What else you got? But not like that, not taunting. But seriously, I mean, if you're in a position to not be shocked, and sometimes people do need that, because some people are telling untruths just for shock value also, and attention.
But I do think that comes also with this deep spiritual connection. It allows for the holding, the listening, to not just be held by human hands, right? But it's infused with the love of whatever you want to call it, God, the Creator, the assistance that's there to hold us as we're holding others who are moving through a grieving process.
Right.
I couldn't hold that alone. I emanate a sense of what I know to be grounded love, but then it allows me to kind of be this chalice for the light of something way bigger than me to hold and heal and be with suffering. And that is the great invocation. I also love in this story that they were both women, because I do think that the truth and the lie and the fight they have and the betrayal between women is really an important piece of the story that needs to be resurrected and remedied, because women helping women, women helping community, women helping the planet is a force, like you said earlier, a force of such powerful good.
And I'm going to just add, women helping men.
Please, yes, thank you.
Because a lot of times we're waiting like for something magical to happen in men, is where they just kind of get us or treat us right. But when women understand themselves, they will let everyone else know how to deal with them.
Lori,
how to treat us.
In your imagination in the story, did you see the people who had contempt for naked truth as men? Because I'll admit I did.
No. I saw women. I would see women, because I think women are maybe catcalling men, and women would be
the
more
competitiveness among women.
And I think I actually didn't see any gender. I see them as interchangeable in the sense that when it comes to truth, there's, I guess it's kind of like many things in my life. I like a very big dose of yin with the yang.
It's all about balance,
right?
for
But I
sure.
do think I did see it. I would see everybody, and as a matter of fact, now that I'm thinking, what did I picture people reacting? I saw them as probably genderless because they incidentally would all be clothed, and clothing ourselves hides the gender originally, at least the
biology,
the immediate
the anatomy.
identification.
Yes, the anatomy.
So I just see them as kind of neutral.
That's great.
And the truth is not neutral. So I mean,
no, that's wonderful.
but I do think.
I think this was a good
I
start.
like that it was women because they bring a level of passion to it on both ends.
And that we're susceptible. We are bearers of truth because we bear children, which are the most innocent of all truths is a newborn.
That's right. And don't forget, because we bear children and because we hold them and nurse them if we do, or bottle feed, we have those boys' ears first.
Yes, we do.
Get that truth started young.
Yes. Lori, I think this was a great story.
Yeah, this is. So much to be said, and we'll see what this leads to next time.
Absolutely. And for this week, I'm certainly going to try to just shine a little light on how I may be lying to myself or being truthful with myself, and then also noticing those moments to be able to cover someone who is vulnerable.
Can you think of immediately, before we sign off, any lie you tell yourself that you're willing to share?
Any
lie that you tell yourself, or any truth? I know you said the move, but if I had to think of a lie, it's once in a while, it'll be, I don't care. When I really care so much.
I'll tell you my big lie.
Yeah, is that
I'm done.
No, you're not.
I'm never done.
Yes.
I'm done. And I'm always back to the drawing board, but I do declare.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
I am done with
mine's
learning, with trying, with whatever it may be.
Yes.
So yes, that is for sure a lie. Never done.
Oh my gosh. And we're not done here. So next week we'll do something, I think, to do with truth or garden. We're still kind of, all of this, keep in mind, is in the garden, in the well. I don't see any reason to jump out of it during spring. It's been a cozy spot to transition.
It's beautiful.
Thank you, Marianne,
Thank you,
for
Lori.
so many beautiful talks, so much to touch upon still. And thank you, whoever tuned in. Remember, you can like and share the podcast. We're here on Strong Island Radio. You can like their page also. They have so many lovely shows and such a variety of them. From our intense heart-searching to funny stuff to music to, I think there's some politics I saw. There's a little bit of something for everybody. Anyways, have a nice week. Listen to your heart. Think about the truth if you feel tugged to do so. And please, farewell.
Bye, Lori.
Bye.